real quickly, I just want to introduce our speakers today so you guys can kind of get to know them a little bit if you didn't read anything about their bio. And first we'll go with Emily from Infobip.
My name is Emily Flanagan, and I'm head of marketing for North America here at Infobip.
Awesome. And next from Project44, we have Michael.
Yes, my name is Michael Streiberger. So I lead strategic partnerships for what was once Convey, now Project44, and the Last Mile Group, and started working with Infobip about a year ago on, some of the important retail initiatives, especially with the bigger brands and wanting to communicate more effectively with their end consumers. So happy to be talking with you today.
Great. And then last but not least from Project44, Hannah.
Hey, thanks for having us today. I'm Hannah Goldberg, also with the Project44 team by way of the Convey acquisition. Been with the company just over 3 years and focused on partner development and working with companies like yourself.
Great. And I'm just April Weber, and I'm just the host today to guide everybody through. Look forward to the conversation, guys.
So we are, and I think we've seen, Hannah and I both a strategy shift with retail brands over the last 3 years and how they're communicating and reaching their end consumers with valuable, accurate information related to whatever they may have ordered, right? And I think that's a theme that you'll kind of see throughout as we talk is this is a vital part of when you have your consumer's attention if you're thinking about a retail brand. And so what are the most effective ways to communicate? There's a lot of them. It used to be strictly, hey, we'll set up a tracking page, or hey, we'll set up an account page on our website. Maybe we'll send some email communication and notifying folks as to where things are in the journey. More recently, we've seen a trend towards more SMS communication, especially with the preferences of a younger buying generation and wanting and preferring communication via text message. I think as you start to look out into the future, there's certainly some things that brands are doing with social communication with WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger, and then folks using mechanisms like chatbots to automate communication. So it's really just a goal of meeting the customer where they are, wherever they are from a technology perspective, and delivering that information in some sort of self-service modality.
Great. Now, Michael, you did mention obviously the different age groups that we're coming across in the buying place. And, Emily, just coming in as head of marketing, what are you seeing in along those lines? Are you basically seeing that there's going to be new channels that are coming in, especially with the age groups that are coming on board?
Yeah, I'm, maybe this is the right moment to kind of touch on, social commerce. But, I'm feeling like, based on what you're seeing in the market, it's growing tremendously. It's supposed to, I think, double in growth from 2020 to the end of next year, kind of working its way towards $50 billion in sales, just happening across social platforms. And so I think, there's a number of channels, our social platforms that brands are able to use in between Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, right? And so that leaves you wide open to be able to capture business on the platform or platforms where your target audience likes to hang. And personally, I love this experience. I think it's incredibly convenient. It's frictionless. You've got people of all ages. They're scrolling through social endlessly. They stop, they see a product that catches their attention. They're able to click on the product, see a price, and then within seconds they're paying for it, whether it's there, in the feed, or maybe they've gone off site to the shop, for an e-commerce experience. But you find this type of convenience being important for people of all ages, but I think especially for Gen X and millennials, right, where they're really impulse buyers.
Yeah, exactly. Hannah, are you seeing anything along those lines as well, or anything different you want to add to that?
Yeah, totally going off of what Michael and Emily are speaking to. I think it comes down to the personalization factor and meeting the consumer where they're at. And so you mentioned Instagram, WhatsApp, TikTok. We're capturing all this data around who our customers are. So how do we turn this into a marketing moment? They're giving us a lot of data points, and between the AI and different intel we're gathering, we have to deliver it to the consumer in the way that they want to receive it, so we can capitalize on that.
Awesome. Actually, Hannah, that leads great into another question that came up, and that is, what kind of channels are retail clients seeing the most challenges in, and why? What are you guys seeing along that space? Obviously, there's going to be challenges with these new places. Where and why are you seeing those challenges?
Well, we kind of touched on it just with the different generations coming up, and I would say that the desire on the behalf of the brands to reach their customers and deliver the pertinent and accurate information at the right time. So it can be really costly for brands to do that if they don't have the right tools and technology in place. So some of these older leadership teams are having to unlearn systems and processes that they have been doing and have been successful at for many years, but the way that the current generation is buying and, interacting with our brands is really very different.
And do you think, Michael, you'll see that continue to change in that generational gap? Are you seeing people that are start to just absolutely kind of taking hold of that and making those changes? Or what are you seeing there along with your clients in the retail space?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we mentioned the different types of communication, and I certainly think those are important. Hannah, you mentioned the cost effectiveness of doing some of that, right? And making sure that you are hitting on those marketing touch points at the right time in the right way, because if you aren't, you are expending a lot of resources and investment that isn't effective or isn't landing in the right way. So part of it is, what is the data that is, triggering this type of communication? Is it scalable, right? And then are you combining that with something valuable that gets you that incremental revenue opportunity, right? Like a promo, a sale, some sort of loyalty program. So it's this convergence of, in our world, what kind of data are you providing? Is it accurate? Is it, pertinent to the customer journey and where they are in that order life cycle? And then what can I do to increase engagement with the brand in whatever way that they can? So I think, we pulled a data point earlier today that customers on average look at where their order is on average 4.6 times between when they purchase it and when it hits the door. And that's a lot of opportunities to do different things as a brand, whether it is, again, promoting a sale, a new product, some sort of seasonal item where they can get that incremental shopping session and boost their ROI with this, these costly mechanisms to communicate with the customer.
And I'd like to add, I think it is to reaching customers at the right time, but then starting to blend that experience in between the online shopping experience and brick and mortar, right? Like coming out of the pandemic, people want to move fluidly in between these channels now. And so it's connecting that data in between the channels and connecting the experience in between the channels. And so what I love is that people are calling this phygital, which is just fun to say, I think, on its own. But brands have started to enable the ability for customers to order online and pick up curbside, or if, say, they're in the store and something is out of stock, then a store associate can look at the stock online in real time, have it shipped, and then whatever their shopping preferences were, the shopper, whether it was in store or they made that purchase online, brands are able to, connect with them in the future on, hey, we noticed that you bought this floral dress in store a few weeks back. We have another dress you might like, or we noticed you ordered this, online, and you may like this here in the store. So I think it's about connecting that experience as much as possible as well.
Yeah. So obviously it's a big topic, and whether or not brick and mortar Are we seeing a balance between brick and mortar and digital, or are we seeing a shift only to digital only? And that's a good point, that obviously we're seeing a balance there, which is great. I don't know if you guys are seeing that on your side, but I know we do see that a lot with the retail clients we work with. And obviously brick and mortar is going to always be there to stay. And how do you actually generate, that balance between the two?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hannah.
I think we've seen a lot of fluctuation over the last couple of years, just through COVID and whatnot. The beginning and, middle, when it was here to stay for like another year, brands had to rethink their footprint. What made sense for that brand? And was it closing stores, or was it using their stores as warehouses, fulfillment mechanisms? How can they use what they already have in times of uncertainty? But it goes back to brands being memorable. So beyond the personalization, beyond meeting them where they're at, brands have to be memorable and make an imprint on their customer. And that can be done both online at e-commerce through all these other tactics we've talked about, but also some brands are super focused on that brick and mortar in-store experience. So I think we're seeing it shift back to like, no, brick and mortar's not going anywhere. There's some brands that the part of their business that they hold near and dear to their heart, and they want to see that through. So why it's fluctuated with a little bit of a roller coaster, I would say that it's trending back kind of to where it was before COVID, with stores staying open, but maybe just changing that whole omni-channel modes behind the fulfillment. Are they adding SKUs through drop shipping, and are they expanding their warehouse and other different fulfillment methods beyond just brick and mortar and e-commerce?
Emily, you want to touch there and move forward with that? I think it's a really difficult thing when we have a lot of automation going on, a lot of AI, and the technology and the data is huge, and it's great for marketers. But how do we really keep that authentic approach in there?
Yeah, I think, customer relationships are evolving as business scales, and automation is perfect for business scaling. But then what's at stake, right, is that authentic connection to the brand. And so I think that there's a balance there that has to be, considered as you're kind of ushering customers through the entire shopping journey. And I think for retailers that are doing it right, it's a valuable differentiator, right, against the competition, because you're able to drive engagement, purchases, and brand loyalty through consumers feeling like they're being understood, and that they really truly have a direct relationship with the brand.
Great. Michael, you want to add to that? I know you guys deal a lot with this at Project44.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the most effective way to personalize that experience and create that human interaction is to attach a person to each one of your consumers and kind of shepherd them through the entire journey. We all know that that's way too expensive, not scalable, et cetera, right? That's not possible. So you got the flip side of the spectrum, which is all of these brands leaning a lot on AI, machine learning, and tools that automate a lot of this interaction, but that can come off as robotic, not personalized, and leave folks leaving kind of unfulfilled when it comes to their brand experience. And so again, it's like Emily mentioned, finding that balance. And obviously the smarter the AI gets, that's going to help, but the configurability and the language and aesthetics that you're using in this communication, I think, is super critical. So when you have all these avenues of communication in play, the brands do need to be able to, whether it's rules-based engines or having the ability to configure things in different ways to meet the different needs of different demographics and different types of consumers, speaking to them in very personalized ways, I think is super critical. And we're, I think, on the cusp of that and figuring a lot of that out with our communication, and there's a long way to go.
Whoever wants to take that can take that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the brands we work with recognize and acknowledge that CX is a journey. It's constantly evolving. We talked about kind of the generational flow of this, and what folks that are in their late teens in 10 years will be that target addressable market for a lot of these brands, if they aren't already in some cases. So thinking about what do you have to offer from a CX and connecting with your consumer's perspective. I don't think that ever ends. So most of the brands we're working with are trying to button up their current state, but also trying to think about what's down the line, what's coming up in the future, and how do I get ahead of that and be on the forefront of that. And so we're trying to constantly push the envelope with them as far as not only fulfilling from different locations in different ways. You mentioned curbside, ship from store, using stores as fulfillment centers to do some of these next day, same day deliveries, but then what kind of experience and communication can you provide along the way to be laser accurate with delivery date predictions or predicting things to miss delivery, and then using those, like Hannah said, as marketing moments, or taking some of that data and surfacing it up pre-purchase, so making it part of the buying experience and saying, hey, this can be here at 4:00 on Saturday versus, hey, it's going to be there 5 to 7 days. Or, hey, if you use this mode of transportation to your home, it's going to lower your carbon footprint from X to Y, and you may want to use that. So everybody's got a different reason or a different incentivization to do things and purchase in different ways. And so the more personalization and more data you can provide along the way can really curate that experience for all the different types of customers you're working with.
Michael, you teed me up because I love the psychographical profiles of customers. I love that idea. But Emily, or any of you, Michael, how do you see next generation retail tech playing out, like AI and automation? What do you guys see the future? Can we look into that future bubble and tell what's coming?
I think we're already seeing some of that, but obviously it'll be very advanced in 5-10 years from where we are today. But one, with the automation, whether it's reducing headcount for a retail brand in terms of that customer experience, who's behind the computer or the phone, fulfilling these requests from customers. But then also just in terms of, fulfillment, obviously drones are a hot topic.
Yeah, I've seen some of the visionary stuff around supply chain is taking inventory out to the edges to really to where the consumers are in a high density type of areas, so that you can fulfill super efficiently, very quickly, very cheaply, without some of the environmental impacts of some of the supply chain inefficiencies that we have today. So that people are starting to think about this is, how do I maybe, instead of using 3 trucks, how can I use 1, right? And taking 2 trucks off the road. Instead of using 3 boxes, how can I consolidate that into 1 box and take some of the cardboard off of, some of these deliveries? So, and we as consumers think about that too, especially when you see boxes stack up and you're disposing of all this, is how can we collectively reduce some of that? So I know that's top of mind with a lot of folks. And then as younger folks become, that core consumer group, it's only going to become more important.
Emily, are you seeing the social responsibility take play in the marketing campaigns you work with?
I mean, without a doubt, right? I think now when consumers are connecting with brands, they want to connect with brands that really align with them and their approach to how they want to treat the environment, if that makes sense. Like one of my favorite stores to shop in is Madewell, and what I love about it is I can go in there with an old pair of jeans, right? It could be from anything, and I trade in my old pair of jeans while I'm buying a new pair, and they give me a discount, and then they use those jeans to to put in for insulation for homes that are being built. And so I think it's these types of initiatives that are going to continue to drive consumers, I think, to businesses that they can relate to.
Yeah, that's great. And then, you can tie it all back in between all these delivery methods, texting them and letting them know that this is an option for you. This is a way you can save those. I think that's great. So, guys, I think we hit a lot of talking points in our first coffee talk, and I think they've been great. And, we'd love to have anybody come back and listen, and we will definitely hit on more topics as we have them come in. But I thank everybody for coming today, and absolutely thank you for listening. And please send us questions or anything you guys want to hear on the next coffee talk. Thanks, guys.
Yep, we appreciate you having us.
Thank you so much.